Hey, and welcome to HopCast.
Thanks for coming back, everybody.
I'm Brad Chmielewski.
My name is Ken Hunnemeder.
Special guest!
Woohoo!
We have Taylor.
The Art of Beer.
At The Art of Beer, so follow her on the tweets, on the tweeties. But Taylor, you come to us from San Diego.
I do.
You also work for Stone.
I do too.
And so thank you so much for coming to Chicago and joining us today.
I love it here.
You've hosted us before during the Craft Brewers Conference at your home, and I can't believe... Well, I know why you came. You came to fuck this place up, didn't you?
I should not have let her in my house.
Are we going to dance in the living room later?
We had a big drunken dance party, and it was fun.
It was, indeed. I have videos.
Well, anyways, we're here to drink some beer, and we have some beers from Prairie. They're out in Oklahoma, and this is newly distributed here in Chicago.
So they just started showing up here in Chicago, and we have two of their beers. We have one of their, farmhouse ales, and another Imperial Stout aged in whiskey barrels. Yeah,
that's right. So should be a fun little adventure. See what these guys are doing down in Oklahoma, and we hope their brewery and all their family is doing well after the tornado out there. So we're gonna drink these beers in their honor.
Yeah. Well, let's start with the farmhouse ale.
Seems to make sense.
We got a pretty clear beer there, and it's got a really nice color.
Not Taylor. She got the end of the bottle.
Yeah,
but,
mine's really cloudy.
Sucks for you.
Way to treat the California girl badly. Payback's a bitch.
That's what we do here in Chicago. But yeah, I was very careless with your pour, so I apologize. But if you pour it correctly, you're going to get a nice clean beer out of that. Kind of just slightly above. I mean, this looks like an all pale malt to me. It's not super straw, but it's got some color to it, but not dark.
It's got a nice aroma.
Yeah.
Like that
There's a I think
candy, like a tropical.
I get a little lemon on the nose.
for sure some lemon. I mean, a nice subtle fruit character.
Yeah.
From those hops that they're using. I wonder what kind. I mean, they seem like American hops to me. They're very citrusy. Well, anyways, yeah, let's get to drinking.
Really light mouthfeel.
Yeah, it is bone dry.
Very dry.
And it's got, I mean, this is a hoppy farmhouse ale, and that's what it says on the label. That always kind of scares me, because I feel like they're going to ruin the delicate nature of the farmhouse yeast strain.
Hops.
Yeah, right. I think they've done this really, really well. Just a nice dosing of hops without just throwing hops in for hop's sake. So that the two are kind of, the yeast and the hops are marrying very well and coming across as very citrusy and light and airy. So I think they did a good job with this beer.
Yeah, it's something you would almost introduce someone to that's kind of interested in new things. They like kind of hoppy or pale beers, and here's this farmhouse beer. It's got a little something else there, and
I think it could be actually a pretty good gateway beer because it has just a subtle hop to it, but it's so light. It doesn't have anything that's, I think, overwhelming for a new craft beer drinker. So what's the ABV on this?
This one is 5.2%. So, I mean, on the lower end of some of the beers that we normally see out today.
yeah.
So that's nice.
And wait, these are twist offs too.
Yeah, twist off beer, and their large format is cork and caged, which is kind of funny. They have twist offs and cork and cage. So you were mentioning a little fun fact about Oklahoma and beer and brewing.
Yeah, I was saying, I just think it was about 3 years ago, maybe 4 max, that I actually recall that they finally legalized home brewing in the state of Oklahoma. It was kind of a big deal. And so I would imagine that now there's probably a large influx of home brewers that are now legal turning into actual commercial brewers, which will develop that business in the state of Oklahoma, which will be a great thing for the state.
Yeah, they didn't say when they opened on their website or anything, but they must be fairly new, and they just came to Chicago, so.
Yeah, and obviously, I mean, the number of homebrewers or professional brewers out there that started off homebrewing is just like too many to count. So
staggering.
Well,
I mean,
I would hope you started homebrewing before you're like
at least something.
Yeah.
Some people are going to school to actually study brewing and
just
going
jump
straight
right
into
to school.
commercial brewing. So, but I would argue that somebody that brews at home learns from their own mistakes and probably has a lot more to bring to the table in some cases.
Right. It's easier to dump out those 5-gallon batches than the.
And you will.
Especially when hops are involved at the price of hops nowadays.
Yeah. So that's a great thing, especially for their industry. To hopefully we'll see a lot more breweries out in Oklahoma.
Oh, and then I think Mike Mazzaros. Shut up! He brought this over Memorial Day weekend, and it came in like one of the plastic 6-packs holders for beer. I've seen them for cans.
Like at the
Like
top.
the rings?
Yeah, but I hadn't seen them for bottles.
Interesting.
So minimal packaging.
Yeah.
Mm. Wow. Okay.
So that was the first time I've seen that.
Well, so far I'm impressed with Prairie here, and we've got another one coming up from them. Quite a departure from Hoppy Farmhouse Ale. We're doing whiskey barrel aged Imperial Stout.
It's just the right weather for that.
So if you weren't sweating already, let's do it.
All right, now it's time to barrel age this.
Yeah, that was quite a refreshing farmhouse, and now we're gonna tackle it with some Russian Imperial Stout.
Yeah, it's quite a yin and yang here. We should have saved some and blended them.
Yeah. That would have been very interesting. I will say that.
Could you turn the heat on? It's a little bit chilly in here.
Yeah, so let's get after this. What do they call this one? Prairie Noir from Prairie Brewing.
Wow, that's dark.
Yeah, that is really dark. I guess noir.
There's
Yeah.
zero light
Makes-
coming through this beer. Zero.
Yeah, there's not even like around the edges. See no red. It's just black.
And we got pretty tan colored head. It kind of came up like after you poured it.
Yeah, there was no head, and then all of a sudden there was
Rose,
pretty good head.
Rose from the depths.
Yeah.
It's
so
really
I think this is a.
fine too.
Mm-hmm.
It almost looks like, it reminds me of like Guinness.
It does.
Yeah, the little tiny bubbles. If you can't see those, yeah. Whew. That's a lot of whiskey, alcohol.
I get some tartness too.
It burns the
Stings the nostrils.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is seems like a bigger beer than 9%, which would
Oh,
come.
it's only 9. Yeah, that would have guessed like at least 13 or.
I don't get it much on the, I don't coffee on the nose. And more,
No.
maybe
No.
a little chocolate.
Chocolate and tart cherry.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
No?
let's see.
Cheers. And not as tart as it smelled.
No.
Kind of has a rounded, sweet character. I was expecting it to be really sweet based on how it looked, but it's not. It's not quite there.
You do get that, not necessarily coffee, but like more of almost a burnt chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
Taste.
Especially on the finish. It's
Yeah.
sweet on the front and then really bitter and almost dry on the finish, but definitely chocolate.
Yeah, the finish is very, very roasty, somewhat astringent.
It somewhat reminds me of like a Baltic porter.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
I'm not really getting the whole, rounded coconut, vanilla, barrel-aged type of thing coming from it. Like, if you gave it to me, I wouldn't guess that it was necessarily barrel-aged.
Well, maybe from the aroma, but not from the taste.
I get some subtle vanilla on it.
Yep.
But I also get a little cherry on it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it said on their site that they had like 132 barrel or gallon oak barrels. So
Yeah, and those were there was a picture of them. Those were the wine barrels. Those are a little bit bigger than the bourbon.
oh, okay.
And especially certain wine barrels come and they're just really, really big. To the point where they don't even fit on the normal racks anymore.
Okay, so they're not using those probably for this beer.
No,
So-
these
okay.
they say they're whiskey, so I think they're just kind of getting
Right.
any whiskey that they can get
Right.
and blending them
whiskey
together.
barrels. Okay.
Because they didn't specify what kind of whiskey, so that kind of leads you to believe they're just whatever barrels we can get, we'll fill them up and see what we got.
Oh, and this is supposed to be
Is it a chicken?
an oatmeal stout, an
Oh.
Imperial Oatmeal Stout.
Oatmeal stout?
Mm-hmm.
I want to know if those are chickens. They look like chickens.
Well, what would you find in the
Oh,
prairie?
I guess
Chickens.
coyotes or the wolves are gonna.
They have
eat
that
chickens.
little like red hand thing on their head, and they're roosters. I don't know. I like the label actually. I think the art's quite cool.
Yeah, all their labels are nice, and the
Mhm.
art of the labels of other beers on their site were nice. So.
It's good.
So yeah, they're doing well out there in
Well,
In Oklahoma.
We hope they're doing well.
We hope they are.
yeah, we do hope they're doing well. Yeah, so we hope they can continue producing some beers for us and that everyone's safe out there. But
Absolutely.
so cheers to Prairie, cheers to Oklahoma.
Cheers.
Thanks for watching.
Cheers.